Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. Due to YouTube's changing quote-unquote community standards, I created a channel called Grumpy Old Fart over on Rumble, a free speech alternative to YouTube. You can see all of my stuff over there, including my political and social commentary, as well as my current events videos. The links to my YouTube and Rumble channels, as well as links to let you order my books, are in the description of this video. If you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. I welcome your comments, even if you disagree with me. Now, on with the video. Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing an AD&D advice video on more general stuff. I keep getting phone calls from old friends that I used to game with years ago, and they keep asking me to do advice on specific situations. I did a video a couple of weeks ago called General Stuff, and I'm going to continue it here, and if I get more phone calls, I may do more of them. General Stuff Part 3, you never know. Alright, the first one was missile weapons. I had a guy ask me why his players, he complained that his players rarely take missile weapons. They're not into missile weapons. Now, in modern times, missile weapons actually mean missiles. In advanced Dungeons and Dragons and medieval fantasy games in medieval times, missiles were arrows and spears and slings, things like that. Since Lord of the Rings came out and people saw Legolas using his bow, this is not such a concern. But back in the day, many players never bothered getting proficient with bows or slings. I'm reminded of a story a friend of mine told me. He and his friend had played in my game for years, and they'd gone to play in another Dungeon Master's game, which is great. The more experience they can get, the better. The players in that game were not the brightest bulbs. Okay, many of them were stupid. Okay, there's no other way about it. Anyway, in that game there was a chasm with a bridge across it. On the far side from the group was a huge group of orcs. The group was going to charge them across the bridge and attack. My friend told them to wait while he asked the dungeon master what they were armed with, what the enemy was armed, the orcs were armed with. The DM confirmed that the orcs all had only melee weapons. My friend told the group to use their bows. Many of them didn't have bows. So my friend and his friend, the two guys that gamed with me, and maybe two other people had bows and slings and like that, so they were able to use those. They killed or drove off the orcs with no casualties. The ones who didn't have bows, my friend told them, you guys watch the bridge, don't let them get across. They can't come at you, but through this narrow bridge, you can hold off that. We'll take them out with the bows. Missile weapons can be extremely cool, okay? Especially if the enemy doesn't have them. It gives you an advantage that they don't have. A lot of people tend to think arrows only do a d6. I can do better damage with my axe or my halberd or whatever. Yeah, that's fine. But you have to close to melee range. If there's a dozen bad guys and you charge into them with your axe, yeah, they get how many shots? You give me that many rolls, I'm rolling some crits. And you can ask anybody. With a bow, if they don't have a way to fight back, you can pick them off at your leisure. Bows can be awesome. Slings are good too. They throw rocks, or atlatls are good because they throw javelins and spears. Slings use rocks or bullets. A bullet is essentially a metal ball bearing, you know. But the idea there being, yeah, if you've got a missile weapon and the enemy doesn't, you have an advantage over them. Use your advantages. It's that simple. Basic tactics, speaking of that. Many players are the UG kill variety. And that works in many situations. But using the old noodle can keep your character alive a lot longer. Here's some basic tactical principles. A, never fight a battle you don't have to. Any dungeon master worth his salt will give experience for intelligent play over mindless violence. I know the book doesn't generally say that, but I do that because I prefer an intelligent thinking man's game. B, know when to retreat. If you are outmatched, if you are outnumbered, if you are at a disadvantage, or if the die rolls or the situation are running against you, it's okay to run away. It only takes one critical hit to kill a player character, and one hit die creatures can roll critical hits. I think there's a provision that says if your armor class is so good that the enemy has to roll a 20 to hit you, it's not considered a crit, and that's cool. But you give me a dozen rolls, I'm rolling some crits. And crits are dangerous. I don't care who you are. I'm reminded just now of an incident that happened. My son was running a game a few years ago. I was running a barbarian. Our group, my wife was playing. Our group was tasked with investigating some old ruins, and we'd found a place to camp up in the top of a tower, and the tower overlooked a cliff, and the cliff was the tower, the wall, and everything, and then the cliff went down another 100 feet or so, so it was about a 400-foot drop. We were with a bunch of NPCs as part of the group that was exploring these old ruins that had been found in the jungle, and turns out a bunch of primitive Aboriginal tribesmen were coming to attack us in the middle of the night. One of our guards got an alarm off, woke everybody up. We were outnumbered about 200 to 1. Yeah. My wife was like, holy crap, he's trying to kill us. And I said, no problem. I took a rope, I tied it off, I grabbed her, I grabbed all the food we could carry, and I started down out of the tower. We was running away, and my wife goes, you're running away? And I said, yes, I'm running away. I can kill a lot, but one of those guys is going to get a crit. You know, it's all it takes is one. So we're going down. We got down as far as we could, and I was able to put her on. My character was strong enough, and my barbarian can climb walls and natural surfaces. So I got down far enough to where there was something to hang on to, and I started climbing down. Well, of course, the bad guys up there cut the rope, thinking it was going to kill us, and I was able to climb us down the wall. So yeah, running away is a valid tactic if you're outnumbered. Don't be afraid to run away. My character and my wife's character lived to tell the tale. Nobody else did, but we did. Use your strengths against the enemy's weaknesses. If you have bows and slings and they don't, stay in missile range. If all they have is bows, close to melee range. If they're on foot and you are mounted, right away. Exploit weaknesses. Fire versus cold, stay out of the water versus aquatic creatures, that kind of thing. Okay? If they have an obvious weakness, use it to your advantage. Find a weakness to exploit. Are they slow? Can they fly? Are they short of food and water? Are they sensitive to bright light? Whatever. Anything. Find a weakness to exploit. Limit their avenues of attack and their mobility. In my friend's story above, the chasm was spanned by a narrow bridge. If the group had no missile weapons, they could have held this end of the bridge, their end of the bridge, so only 2 to 3 orcs could attack at once, a la the 300 Spartans at Thermopylae. You see what I'm saying? You limit the enemy's numbers. Surprise is a force multiplier. If you have to fight, try to catch them unawares from the rear while they're asleep, etc. There are many people who go, that's not honorable. No, it's not. But it works. Now, you're going to have some players in the group who are running paladins or something, some cavalry. Oh, I will not attack by surprise. Okay, that's fine. But we will. Here we go. Do whatever works. This is the oldest tactical principle in existence. Do what works. It has proven the test of time again and again since caveman times. If you're concerned with aesthetics or if you are trying not to look stupid, you deserve to fail. The 3 key words are quick, quiet, and efficient. Don't be afraid to make a mess. Don't be afraid of overkill. When your character's life is on the line, overkill is your friend. The next one they keep asking me about is aerial combat. Alright. A dragon or some other huge flying creature while you're flying. Okay, if you're engaging with a dragon or some other huge flying creature while you are flying, you have failed. In the air, dragons will clean your clock. Dragons are fast and maneuverable. They're very powerful creatures. They have missile weapons in the form of breath weapons. They can strafe you. They don't have to close to attack with claw, claw, bite. Dragons are the ultimate aerial combatants. If you are engaging a dragon while in aerial combat, you have failed. I'm sorry, you're not going to succeed. If you are riding a flying mount and your opponent is riding the same or an equivalent approximate mount, then it all comes down to who is more maneuverable and who can deal the most damage. It's that simple. Aerial combat is particularly bloody because all you have to do, if you're both riding a Pegasus, for example, if you kill the other guy's Pegasus, he falls. And no matter how much damage you do to him, he's still going to fall. Falling damage can be deadly. Falling damage is brutal, especially what they land on. Sharp rocks, a rock, the top of a tree, whatever. Yeah, you can die from falling like that. If your opponent is riding a more powerful mount, run away. Hide. Your mount will not want to face that mount unless it's exceptionally well trained. I don't know of anybody who's that well trained, who trains a flying mount like that. Fly through narrow passes where they cannot follow and find a place to hide. It's that simple. If you could pick off the rider, that's theoretically cool, but it's been my experience that trying to pick off a rider exposes you to inordinate fire and is more dangerous than it's worth. If the opponent is airborne and you are grounded, you either need massed missile weapons or you need to hide. Because this guy, if his mount has a breath weapon or he has a missile weapon, he can do strafing runs, which are very difficult to defend against. Look up World War II. You'll see what I'm talking about. Another thing that they keep asking me about is underwater combat. Now, this is extremely dangerous. It's extremely rare. Most people don't want to fight underwater for a reason. Unless you can naturally breathe underwater, you have no business doing this. Okay? If you're using a spell to breathe underwater, one dispel magic will kill you. If you are using an item to breathe underwater, make sure your enemy doesn't know it. Again, a dispel magic may kill you. It just depends on the situation. Melee weapons are almost useless unless it is a thrusting weapon. Missile weapons are useless underwater. If you ever try to fire a bow underwater, it ain't happening. If you try to use a sling underwater, it ain't happening. Missile weapons are virtually useless. If you have to fight underwater, grappling and daggers and knives are your best bet. Swords and spears are okay, but they're very unwieldy. I would try to grapple and then either break their neck or slice important arteries. I once had a character who was grabbed and pulled overboard. I drew my dagger and grabbed the guy around the neck from behind. I then sliced his carotid artery and started stabbing him short little stabs in the kidneys. The fight did not last long. Slicing off important things like hands, feet, and genitals is also good. Don't be afraid to fight dirty underwater, especially if you have only one breath of air. Normally, I try to avoid fighting underwater whenever possible because most of my characters can't breathe underwater. It's not a healthy work environment. It's like attacking a black dragon underground, you know? If it's something you feel it's necessary to go underwater and fight, finish that fight as quickly as you can and get back to the surface. If you're in danger of drowning, fighting the other guy should not be your number one priority. That's all I'm saying. Underwater combat is extremely rare for a reason. I hope this finds everybody well, and I hope these help. Again, I'm not trying to tell you what to do or how to run your game. I'm just trying to give some advice from an old hack wargamer who has seen and done a few things over 43 years of gaming. Hope this finds everybody well. Oh, excuse me, 43 years of running games. I've been gaming longer than that. Yeah, I'm an old fart. Grumpy old fart, that's me. I hope this finds everybody well. You folks have a good day now. God bless one and all. We elect cookie-cutter politicians every single election cycle. Yes men who maintain the status quo and do just enough to make us believe the system still works. Imagine, if you will, a president who actually tries to fix things. If you like action, political intrigue, and a righteous crusade, check out my political thriller, The Righteous President.